Warren Buffett. Patience beats haste on the path to millions. I still remember the day I lost everything. Standing in my cramped studio apartment, staring at my laptop screen showing a portfolio worth $312. Just 3 months earlier, ID had $8,000, my entire life savings from 5 years of working double shifts at the warehouse. Meanwhile, the Oracle of Omaha had been preaching the same boring message for decades. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. I thought that was outdated advice for old people. I was young, hungry, and ready to prove that the fast lane was the only lane worth taking. Gone. All because I thought I was smarter than Warren Buffett. I felt like I'd discovered a secret that everyone else was too scared to pursue. I started checking my phone every 5 minutes, watching green and red candles dance across my screen. I felt sophisticated using terms I barely understood. My first options trade netted me $800 in a single day. I remember calling my mom, telling her I'd figured out the secret to wealth. She responded with something her father used to say, "Easy come, easy go." I laughed it off. Old people just didn't understand the new economy. My girlfriend Sarah would find me at 3 a.m, bloodshot eyes glued to futures markets in Asia. "Baby, you need to sleep," she'd say. But how could I sleep when money was being made? A pharmaceutical company was announcing drug trial results. The YouTube gurus called it a sure thing. The drug failed. The stock plummeted 40%. My options expired worthless. In the span of 3 months, I'd gone from $8,000 to $312. The $312 wasn't even tradable. It was below the minimum account balance. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent countless hours watching YouTube videos about getting rich quick, reading about day traders who turned thousands into millions overnight. The weight of my failure crushed me. I'd have to go back to the restaurant, beg for my second job back. I'd have to face Sarah and admit she was right. Worst of all, I'd have to live with the knowledge that I'd thrown away 5 years of hard work chasing a fantasy. My journey into investing started innocently enough. After discovering that my coworker Jake had turned $2,000 into $15,000 trading cryptocurrency, I couldn't sleep. Not a YouTube video, not a blog post promising quick riches, but an actual book about his investment philosophy. The first quote I read hit me like a punch to the gut. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. I borrowed $2,000 from my credit card, certain that I just needed more capital to execute my comeback. Sarah found the cash advance receipt, and we had our first real fight. "You're gambling," she said, tears in her eyes. "This isn't investing." I stormed out, convinced she just didn't understand the pressure I was under. Here I was, breaking my back loading trucks for $18 an hour, while people were making my monthly salary in a single trade. I downloaded every trading app, joined every Discord group, and convinced myself that financial freedom was just one brilliant trade away. If you're reading this thinking about your own financial dreams, make sure to subscribe for more real stories about building wealth the right way. The first few trades went well. I turned $1,000 into $1,400 in 2 weeks. The dopamine hit was incredible. That's when I discovered options trading. If stocks were a bicycle, options were a motorcycle. Faster, more dangerous, but oh so thrilling. A YouTuber with a Lamborghini in his thumbnail promised to teach me how to turn $1,000 into $100,000 in just 6 months. The course cost $497, but I reasoned it was an investment in my education. Sarah shook her head when I told her, but I was too intoxicated by the possibility of quick riches to listen. The course taught me complex strategies with names like iron condors and butterfly spreads. Within a month, my $8,000 had grown to $14,000. I quit my second job at the restaurant, convinced I'd found my calling as a trader. I started giving unsolicited investment advice to friends and family. My cousin asked if I'd studied Warren Buffett's principles. I scoffed. Buffett's strategy is for people who are already rich, I said. He can afford to wait 30 years for returns. I need money now. The market had other plans. It started with a single bad trade on a Tuesday morning. I'd bet everything that a tech stock would jump after earnings. Instead, it crashed 15%. In options, a 15% move against you doesn't mean you lose 15%. It can mean you lose everything. I watched my account drop from $14,000 to $9,000 in 30 seconds. My hands shook as I tried to salvage the position, but panic trading only made it worse. It's just a setback, I told myself. Even as my stomach churned, I'd make it back. I always did, but the market had turned. Every trade I made seemed to go the wrong way. I'd buy calls, the stock would drop. I'd buy puts, the stock would soar. It was like the market could read my mind and do the opposite. Within 2 weeks, my $9,000 had shrunk to $4,000. Desperation is a trader's worst enemy. I started making bigger bets, trying to hit a home run that would restore my account. The final blow came on a Thursday. I put everything, all $6,000, on a single options trade. I sat in my apartment that night, too ashamed to tell anyone what had happened. That's when I finally did what I should have done from the beginning. I opened a book by Warren Buffett. What investing lesson has changed your life? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one. I spent the next month devouring everything Buffett had ever written or said. His approach was the complete opposite of everything I'd been doing. Where I saw the market as a casino, he saw it as a way to buy pieces of wonderful businesses. Where I measured success in days or weeks, he measured it in decades. Where I used complexity to feel smart, he preached simplicity. One quote particularly resonated. Wealth is the transfer of money from the impatient to the patient. I realized I'd been the impatient one, transferring my hard-earned money to patient investors who understood the game better than I did. Every month, after investing my money, I decalculate how much I'd have in 30 years if I kept this pace and earned average market returns. The market wasn't rigged against me. I had rigged myself against the market by trying to compress decades of returns into months. I started over with a different approach. Instead of trying to get rich quick, I focused on getting rich slowly. Friends would brag about their latest crypto gains or meme stock victories. I stopped seeing investing as a sprint and started seeing it as a marathon. I stopped trying to be the smartest person in the room and started trying to be the most patient. I stopped looking for the next hot stock and started looking for the next contribution to my index fund. The old me would have been consumed with jealousy and FOMO, but I kept returning to Buffett's wisdom. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. I took extra shifts at both jobs, living on rice and beans to save money. But this time, instead of funding a trading account, I opened a simple index fund account. Buffett himself had said that for most investors, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund was the best investment. The first month, I invested $200. It felt pathetically small compared to the thousands I used to throw around in options trades. But I kept Buffett's words in mind. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. I was planting my tree, one small investment at a time. Sarah noticed the change immediately. Instead of staring at my phone all night, I was present. Instead of mood swings based on market movements, I was steady. She started contributing $100 a month to the account. "I believe in your new approach," she said. It meant more to me than any profitable trade ever had. The hardest part was watching the market boom while my account grew slowly. I started a simple ritual. 6 months into my new approach, something interesting happened. A coworker, Danny, approached me at lunch. He'd heard I was into investing and wanted advice. The old me would have pulled up my trading app and showed him how to buy options. Instead, I shared Buffett's principles. I told him about index funds, dollar cost averaging, and the power of patience. "But that's so boring," Danny said, echoing my old self. "Don't you want to make real money?" I smiled and told him my story, how I'd lost $8,000 trying to make real money quickly, how the pursuit of fast wealth had cost me slow wealth, how Buffett, the third richest person in the world, had made his fortune by being extraordinarily patient in an impatient world. A year passed. My account had grown to $4,000, half from contributions, half from market returns. It was still less than I'd lost in my trading disaster, but it felt different. This money was built on solid ground, not speculation. I slept well knowing that I was investing in the entire American economy, not betting on the next move of a single stock. The real transformation wasn't in my account balance, it was in my mindset. If this story resonated with you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear that slow and steady really does win the race. 2 years later, I attended a Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting. Sitting in that arena in Omaha, listening to Buffett speak, I felt like I'd come full circle. Here was a man who'd become one of the wealthiest people in history, not through complex trading strategies or get-rich-quick schemes. The dollar amount was similar, but everything else was different. The first $8,000 was built on overtime and sacrifice, but lost to impatience and greed. The current $10,000 was built on the same hard work, but invested with patience and wisdom. But through patience, discipline, and the revolutionary idea that buying good companies and holding them forever was a path to wealth. We celebrated not massive gains, but consistent contributions. We shared not hot stock tips, but stories of staying the course. We measured success not in daily returns, but in decades of discipline. She'd been secretly investing too, following the same principles. It was the antithesis of the trading communities I'd once been part of, and it was beautiful. During the Q&A session, a young man asked Buffett what advice he'd give to someone starting with very little money. My investment account surpassed $15,000, more than I'd ever had during my trading days. You don't need to understand options or complex strategies. You just need 3 things: a small amount to invest regularly, a simple index fund, and the patience to let time work its magic. That's it. That's the entire secret to building wealth. But unlike those paper gains that vanished in seconds, this wealth was real, built contribution by contribution, month by month. Sarah and I celebrated with a modest dinner, toasting to the next milestone. I learned this lesson the hard way, losing $8,000 to impatience before finding success through patience. But that expensive education was worth it because it taught me a truth that no YouTube guru could. Wealth isn't built in days or months. It's built in decades, one patient investment at a time. Make investing as automatic as paying your bills. Don't wait for the perfect amount to begin. Buffett's answer was simple. Start early, invest regularly, keep costs low, and be patient. Time is the friend of the wonderful business, the enemy of the mediocre. If Sarah and I kept investing $400 a month and earned average returns, we'd have over $1 million by retirement. Not through any clever trading or lucky breaks, but through the simple act of patience. About planting something small today that will grow mighty over decades. About how the path to millions isn't a sprint, but a marathon. About how patience beats haste every single time. The only question is, which side will you be on? Check your progress quarterly or yearly instead. Your future self will thank you for this perspective. We were finally on the path to millions, not by running, but by walking steadily forward. I thought about my journey, from $8,000 to $312 to now almost $10,000 in index funds. On the flight home from Omaha, I did the math again. A single mother named Maria wrote that she started investing $50 a month after reading my story. "It's not much," she wrote, "but for the first time, I feel like I'm building something for my daughter's future." I wrote back immediately, sharing one of Buffett's quotes. "Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. You're planting that tree for your daughter." I started a small blog sharing my journey and Buffett's principles for beginners. The messages I received were heartbreaking and inspiring. People who'd lost money day trading, people who thought investing was only for the rich, people who'd given up on ever building wealth. I shared the same message with all of them. You don't need to be a genius to build wealth. You just need to be patient. One message particularly stood out. The blog grew into a small community of patient investors. 3 years after my trading disaster, I finally crossed a meaningful milestone. At that dinner, Sarah surprised me with news. The journey taught me that Buffett's genius wasn't in complex formulas or insider knowledge. It was in understanding human nature. Most people are impatient. They want wealth now, not in 30 years. This impatience creates opportunities for the patient. Every time someone panic sells, a patient investor can buy. Every time someone chases the latest fad, a patient investor can stick to principles. I think about my old self often. The version of me hunched over a laptop at 3 a.m., heart racing with every price movement. He thought he was being smart and aggressive. In reality, he was being foolish and reactive. The market didn't take his money. His impatience did. His haste to reach millions ensured he'd never get there. Now, when young coworkers ask me about investing, I don't show them apps or charts. I tell them about trees. The most powerful lesson: you don't need $8,000 to start. As I write this, 5 years after my trading disaster, our combined investments have grown to over $40,000. We're not millionaires yet, but we're on the path. More importantly, we sleep well at night. We don't check our phones obsessively. We don't panic when the market drops. We just keep investing, keep working, keep planting trees for our future shade. Warren Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." The practical lesson: if you're starting with little money, here's your action plan. 1. Start with what you have. Even $50 a month invested in a low-cost index fund can grow to over $100,000 in 30 years. Automate your patience. Set up automatic monthly investments so you're not tempted to time the market or skip months. Measure in decades, not days. Delete the apps that show daily changes. The question for reflection: what would your life look like in 20 years if you started investing? Just $100 a month today? That's not a fantasy. That's a choice you can make right now. The path to millions doesn't require genius or luck. It just requires patience to beat haste, 1 month at a time. Your tree is waiting to be planted. The shade it provides decades from now depends on the patience you show today. Start small, stay consistent, and let time transform your patience into wealth. That's not just Buffett's way. It's the way that actually works for regular people like us. The market will keep transferring money from the impatient to the patient.
See, if you've made it this far and are ready to prosper, click on one of the stories appearing on your screen. Each story is a compass guiding you toward true financial prosperity. See you there.